I'm very proud to be the first official female co-host of the TV show in 7 years.
Yes.
So to honor that, I would like to attempt to spend the show today talking about women and atheism a little bit. I'm mostly just babbling off at the mouth today because, this is my expertise because I am a woman atheist. I was raised an atheist. There's a common perception. Thank you. There's a common perception that there are fewer atheist women than atheist men. I mean, you can see it in a lot of places. If you come to our group, there are very few active women. Yeah. There are very few single active women. So if you're a single active woman and you're looking for an atheist guide, you won't have a problem finding one here.
Although surprisingly enough, most of the women in the group are fairly active.
Yes.
As in, it's not just like we have a lot of women showing up who just come and, that's kind of the end of it. They're typically going to be fairly active and, they're into the group. They do a lot of stuff with it, so...
We are. Maybe you have to be activists to join this group. I don't know, but
perhaps.
It's just a good social outlet.
Yeah.
But so I have a study here from the Gallup polls from 2002. It was a study of 1,000 American adults. 69% of women said that the religion was a very important part of their lives, compared to 53% of men, and 48% of women attended worship in the last week, compared to only 37% of men.
Wow, 48% of women. That's a lot higher than I would have expected.
So, according to these statistics here, it looks like, religion is much more a woman's thing than non-religion, and therefore there would be fewer atheist women. I was having this discussion last night over coffee that one of the possible reasons for that, and this is a hot issue, but I'm allowed to say it because I'm a woman. One of the possible reasons for that is because men tend to be more thinkers and women tend to be more feelers. Okay. And therefore women find it easier to identify with religion, whereas men might find it easier to rationalize religion out.
Break away.
And I'm going to, I'm going to have to say that it's, I don't know if it's biological or cultural, but I'd be willing to guess that that's still mostly cultural. Right. That women are more, emotionally driven, and men are more rationally driven.
Yeah, yeah. Plus the social aspect of it, of just not so much of the religion itself, but just of getting up, going to church every week, meeting with a Bible study group, whatever. Just that social aspect of it, maybe something that draws more women to it than men.
Right, and so
men are happy with beer and football. So
some of you may have seen me on the show before. I haven't been very active lately, but when I first moved to Austin about a year and a half ago, I went on the show several times. I talked about being a Jewish atheist, being a gerontological social worker, and how that might relate to atheist issues, and being a vegetarian and how that might relate to atheist issues. So I was like, okay, what's my other expertise that I haven't talked about? I'd like to talk about being a woman atheist. Yeah. And I started getting a lot of feedback about what people wanted to hear. People wanted to hear about the issue of raising children, which I do not have any children, so I tried to invite some guests onto the show with me that have children and raise children within atheism, but that'll have to hold off for another week. One thing that I did look into just for my own curiosity, and this is a very slanted, excuse me while I go off camera for a moment, but this is a very slanted statistic. Just out of curiosity, Match.com is like the big dating website that there is. And so out of curiosity, I went on and I just looked up some numbers of how many men versus women atheists you can find online. Yeah. And
you did an actual search for atheist.
I did an actual search for atheist, like how many people identify themselves with atheist. I was going to go further and do atheist or agnostic, or people who identify themselves as spiritual but not religious, but this was mostly just atheist. Okay. And women looking for men, I think I wrote this down wrong, but it was men who are looking for women who identify themselves as atheists, between the ages of 18 and 65, there were about 500 of them, and between the ages of 21 to 35. So I did like all the people that would sign on to Match.com. I mean, not all of them.
But,
I don't know how long the age range is, but 18 to 65 was about 500, as compared to women, which was about 241. So it was about half the number. 21 to 35 was about 344 for men, and 93 for women. Significantly lower.
It would be kind of interesting to see how many men and women they have on the site total to get a more percentage.
Yeah.
Because typically on these sites they're going to have a lot more men than women.
Yeah, and that's how this little statistic that I came up with is. It's not a statistic, but these numbers are very slanted because, in general, I know for a fact that a lot more men sign on to Match.com than women.
Yeah, I actually did a little bit looking on the Match.com. The spiritual but religious is a very, very, very open category.
Very, very open.
It seems like that would be something where it's everything from people who could be atheists but don't want to put the A word of atheist or agnostic on there, all the way to the people who are studying, psychic powers and believe in, the tantric, yoga techniques and just, all these other kind of strange.
I would be willing to guess that the men who identify themselves as spiritual but not religious,
don't like the inflammatory.
Frequently probably don't want to call themselves an atheist because they think they'll scare women away.
Exactly. The scary A word. So, that's definitely part of it because when you're trying to attract a date, the last thing you want to do is say, "Hey, I'm an atheist." May not attract quite as many people as you would hope. So